The Whisper Between Worlds. In a quiet valley nestled between misty mountains and endless forest lived a young woman named Elara. She had always felt the world speak to her in ways others couldn't quite hear. The murmur of leaves in the wind, the sigh of the river, the distant cry of hawks, all seemed to carry words meant only for her. It began when she was 6. A wounded fox had limped into her family's garden, eyes full of pain and defiance. When Elara approached, the fox didn't snarl or run. Instead, she heard a trembling whisper in her mind. "It hurts." Without thinking, she spoke back, her words not with her mouth, but with her heart. "I can help." From then on, Elara knew her gift. She could communicate with animals. Not through speech, but through the subtle language of intent, emotion, and thought, a current that ran through all living things. Years passed, and the world beyond her valley changed. Cities crept closer to the forest, trees fell, and the rivers grew shallow. The animals grew desperate. Wolves began attacking livestock, deer strayed into farms. Bears raided orchards. Hunters came, and conflict brewed between humans and the wild. Elara couldn't stand by. She began walking between both worlds. She'd speak to the farmers, her clothes streaked with mud and pine needles, urging patience and understanding. Then she'd disappear into the woods for days, returning with a glint of purpose in her eyes. She'd sit beneath the old cedar tree, surrounded by foxes, owls, and badgers, listening to their grievances. Hunger, fear, the encroachment of humans into their homes. Bit by bit, she built a fragile peace. She convinced the farmers to leave portions of their land wild, and in return, the wolves agreed to hunt elsewhere. She guided migrating herds away from roads. Birds began carrying her messages across valleys, and the forest seemed to breathe easier. But not everyone believed. Some called her the Witch of Thorn Valley, others the Beast Speaker. Hunters who refused to listen came at night, setting traps and fires. When a young stag was killed near the village border, the truce shattered. Elara stood between the villagers and the enraged creatures that gathered in the woods, eyes glowing in the darkness. The air was thick with fury and grief. "Enough," she whispered, her voice carrying through both realms. "We are one breath, one heartbeat." Then something miraculous happened. For the first time, the humans heard the voices too, not in words, but in feeling. They felt the fear of the doe, the confusion of the bear, and the despair of the fox whose den was lost. The barrier between worlds dissolved for a single, trembling moment. When dawn came, the forest and the village stood in silence, side by side. The people buried the stag and planted a grove in its place. From then on, they called it the Meeting Wood. Elara continued her work, no longer feared, but sought out by travelers, farmers, and kings who wished to understand the creatures they shared the earth with. Some said she lived to be 100, her hair silver as moonlight, still walking barefoot among the trees, listening. And if you go to Thorn Valley on a quiet morning, when mist hangs low and birds speak softly to the wind, you might hear a whisper, a reminder that peace is possible so long as someone is willing to listen.